The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was a place of wonder. Its walls stretched high into the darkness above, covered in lights that looked like distant stars. Thousands of seats filled the massive room, each one holding a representative from a different world. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had no bodies at all, just floating lights that spoke in whispers. This was where the fate of entire planets was decided. This was where empires rose and fell with a single vote. Ambassador walked down the long center path toward the speaking platform. His footsteps echoed in the quiet hall. Behind him walked Commander and 4 other members of the human delegation. They wore simple gray uniforms with the blue Earth symbol on their chests. No gold, no medals, just clean, humble clothes. Was not a tall man. He was not loud or powerful looking. He had gray hair at his temples and tired lines around his eyes. He had served Earth for 30 years in the diplomatic service. He had seen many things. He had learned one important lesson above all others: listen more than you speak and never show your anger. Today, that lesson would be tested. The council elder sat on a raised platform at the front of the hall. His name was Roka, and he was from a species called the. They were tall beings with pale blue skin and 4 arms. They had ruled the council for over 1,000 years. Roka looked down at the human delegation with eyes that held no warmth. To him, humans were children. Their civilization was barely 10,000 years old. They had been building starships when humans still lived in caves. "You may speak," Roka said. His voice was flat and bored. Stepped onto the speaking platform. He looked up at the thousands of faces watching him, some curious, some amused. Many did not even bother to hide their disinterest. "Thank you," Elder Roka said. His voice was calm and clear. "I come before this council to request aid for Earth and her colony worlds. As you know, the Empire has begun attacking our outer settlements. In the last 6 months, they have destroyed 3 of our colonies. 40,000 human lives have been lost." A murmur passed through the crowd. Some species nodded with concern. Others whispered to each other. The remained still. Continued. "They are powerful. Their fleet is larger than ours. We have fought bravely, but we cannot hold them back alone. We are asking the Council for military support. Ships, weapons, soldiers, anything you can provide." He paused and looked directly at Roka. "Humanity has been a member of this council for 80 years. We have paid our dues. We have followed every law. We have contributed to every relief effort. We have sent our doctors to heal your sick and our engineers to build your stations. Now we ask for help in return." The hall fell silent, waited. Roka leaned forward slowly. His 4 arms rested on the arms of his chair. A small smile appeared on his thin lips. "Ambassador," he said, "the council has already discussed your request." Felt his heart beat faster. He kept his face calm. "The answer is no." The word hit like a cold wind. He heard shift behind him, but he did not turn around. "May I ask why?" said. His voice did not shake. Roka waved one of his hands dismissively. "They are not attacking council space. They are attacking human space. This is your problem, not ours." "But we are members of this council," said. "We have rights under the Protection Charter." Roka laughed. It was not a kind laugh. Several other council members joined him, their strange voices filling the hall with ugly sounds. "The Protection Charter," Roka said, "was written for civilized species, species that have proven their worth over thousands of years. Humanity is young, too young. You have been members for less than a century. You have not earned the right to demand our protection." His hands tightened into fists at his sides. He forced them to relax. "We are not demanding," he said quietly. "We are asking." "And we are refusing," Roka said. His smile was gone now. "Humanity must learn to solve its own problems. If you cannot defend yourselves against perhaps you are not ready to be part of the galactic community." Another council member spoke up. She was a tall being with silver scales and black eyes. Her name was Lyra, and she was from the Republic. Perhaps that will teach the humans a valuable lesson in humility. Laughter filled the hall again. Stood very still. He could feel the eyes of his delegation on his back. He could feel anger radiating like heat. He knew what she wanted him to do. She wanted him to shout, to argue, to slam his fist on the podium and demand justice. But had learned long ago that anger was a weapon that hurt the one who used it most. He took a slow breath. He let the laughter wash over him like water over stone. He waited until the hall grew quiet again. Then he bowed. It was a deep bow, slow and formal, the kind of bow that showed respect. The council members looked confused. They had expected anger. They had expected begging. They had not expected this. Straightened up, he looked at Roka one last time. Their eyes met. Face showed nothing. No anger, no sadness, no fear, just calm, empty silence. "Thank you for your time," Elder Roka said. "The human delegation will now take our leave." He turned and walked back down the center path, and the others fell into step behind him. Their footsteps echoed in the silent hall. No one spoke. No one called after them. The council members watched the humans walk away with confused expressions. This was not how things were supposed to go. The weak species always begged. They always argued. They always came back again and again until they were given something small to keep them quiet. But the humans did not beg. They did not argue. They did not come back. They simply walked away in utter silence. As reached the great doors of the hall, he heard Roka's voice call out one last time. "Run back to your little planet, humans. Try not to die too quickly." More laughter followed. Did not turn around. He did not respond. He walked through the doors and they closed behind him with a heavy sound. In the hallway outside, grabbed his arm. "Ambassador," she said through clenched teeth, "we cannot let them treat us like this." Looked at her. His eyes were calm but cold. "We will not," he said quietly, "but not with words. Words mean nothing to them." "Then how?" asked. Began walking toward their ship. His delegation followed. "Silence," he said. "We will show them the true weight of silence." None of them looked back at the council hall. None of them spoke another word until they were aboard their ship, flying away from the station, heading home to Earth. Behind them, the Galactic Council returned to their business, already forgetting the small human delegation that had come and gone. They did not know that they had just made the worst mistake in the history of their civilization. They did not know that the silence of the humans would soon become the loudest sound in the galaxy. But they would learn. They would all learn. The ship was quiet as it traveled through the darkness of space. Ambassador sat alone in his small room, staring out the window at the distant stars. Each one of those lights was a sun. Each sun might have planets. Each planet might have people looking up at the sky, wondering if they were alone. Humans had wondered that for thousands of years. Now they knew the answer. They were not alone, but sometimes thought being alone might have been better. A knock came at his door. "Enter," said without turning around. Commander stepped inside. She had changed out of her formal uniform into simple work clothes. Her face was still hard with anger, but her voice was controlled. "Ambassador, the delegation is asking questions. They want to know what we do now." Nodded slowly. "What do you think we should do?" Was quiet for a moment. She was a soldier, not a diplomat. She had spent her life protecting Earth and its colonies. She knew how to fight. She did not know how to play the long games that politicians played. "I think we should fight," she said. "They will not stop at our outer colonies. They will keep coming until they reach Earth itself. We need allies." "The Council refused us," reminded her. "Then we find other allies, other species who are not part of the Council. There must be someone out there who will help us." Finally turned from the window. He looked at with tired eyes. "There are others," he said. "The Outer Rim species, the independent worlds. They have no love for the Council, but they are weak and scattered. They cannot fight the either." Then what? Asked. Do we just give up? Do we let the take everything? Shook his head. No, we do not give up, we do something else. He stood up and walked to a small table where a map of the galaxy glowed softly. His finger traced the lines of trade routes and communication networks that connected thousands of worlds. Do you know what humans have done for the galaxy in the past 80 years? He asked. Frowned. We have done many things: trade, medicine, engineering. Yes, said, we have done all of that, but do you know how much? He pressed a button and the map changed. Lines of light appeared everywhere, connecting planets like threads in a spider's web. Most of those lines were blue. Blue means human involvement, said. Human ships carry 30% of all trade goods in Council space. Human engineers built or repaired over half of the space stations in the inner systems. Human doctors developed the cure for the plague 10 years ago. Human translators work in every major diplomatic office because we can learn languages faster than any other species. Stared at the map. She had never seen it displayed like this before. The blue lines were everywhere. They touched every corner of the galaxy. We are the glue, said quietly. We hold everything together. The Council does not see it because we are quiet about it. We do not brag. We do not demand thanks. We simply do our work and ask for nothing in return. Until now, said. Until now, agreed. We asked for help one time after 80 years of service, and they laughed at us. His voice was still calm, but could hear something cold beneath the surface, something hard and sharp like ice. So what do we do? She asked again. Turned off the map. The room went dark except for the light of the stars outside. We leave, he said. Blinked. Leave. Leave where? Everywhere. We pull back every human from Council space, every trader, every engineer, every doctor, every translator, every worker, everyone. His eyes went wide. Ambassador, that would take years to organize, and the economic damage. To us? Asked. Yes, there will be damage. We will lose money. We will lose connections. But we have been preparing for this possibility for a long time. Earth can survive alone. We have done it before. And the Council smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had been patient for a very long time and was finally ready to act. The Council will learn what happens when you throw away something valuable. They think we are nothing. They think we are weak children begging for scraps. They will discover the truth. He walked to the door and opened it. Come, he said, we have work to do. The next 6 months were the busiest in human history. Messages went out to every human settlement, every human worker, every human ship in the galaxy. The orders were simple: come home. Do not argue. Do not explain. Do not say goodbye, just leave. And the humans obeyed. On the planet Prime, the capital of the Empire, a young human doctor named packed her bags one night and walked out of the hospital where she had worked for 5 years. She left no note. She said nothing to her alien colleagues. She simply disappeared. The next morning, the hospital discovered that she had taken nothing with her except her personal belongings. All the medical equipment was still there. All the records were in order, but the doctor who had saved thousands of lives was gone. On the trading station of Nexus 7, a human merchant named Jin closed his shop after 20 years of business. He sold nothing. He gave nothing away. He simply locked the doors and walked to the human transport ship waiting in the docking bay. His neighbor, who had bought goods from Jin for 15 years, called out to him as he walked away. Jin, where are you going? When will you be back? Jin did not answer. He did not even turn around. He walked onto the ship and it flew away. On the Council station itself, the human diplomatic office went dark overnight. All the translators left. All the staff left. All the records were packed and shipped back to Earth. When officials came to ask questions, they found only empty rooms and silence. Elder Roca heard about the departures, but he was not concerned. Let them go, he said to his advisors. "They are throwing a tantrum like children. They will come back when they realize they need us more than we need them." His advisors agreed. They laughed about the foolish humans who thought they could survive without the Council's protection and trade. But the humans did not come back. Weeks passed, then months. The blue lines on the trade maps began to disappear one by one. Ships that had always been there were gone. Workers that everyone had relied on were gone. Knowledge that everyone had taken for granted was gone. And still the humans said nothing. They did not send angry messages. They did not make demands. They did not threaten or complain. They simply left. In utter silence. Back on Earth, watched the reports come in from across the galaxy. Human ships arriving home. Human workers returning to their families. Human knowledge coming back to where it belonged. Stood beside him, watching the numbers on the screen. "It is working," she said. "Everyone is coming home." "Yes," said, "now we wait." "For what?" Looked at her. His eyes were calm, but there was something fierce burning deep inside them. For them to understand what they have lost. Outside the window, Earth hung in the darkness like a blue and green jewel. It was small compared to the vast galaxy. It was young compared to the ancient empires. But it was home, and humans would protect it, even if they had to do it alone. The Council had refused to help them. So be it. The humans would remember, and the silence they left behind would speak louder than any words ever could. 1 year passed since the humans walked away. At first, no one in the Council noticed much difference. Trade continued, ships flew, stations operated. Life went on as it always had. The other great powers told themselves that they had been right. Humans were not important. Humans were not needed. The galaxy would survive without them. But slowly, quietly, things began to break. It started with small problems. A power system on a colony failed, and no one knew how to fix it. The human engineers who had built it were gone. The engineers tried to repair it themselves, but they did not understand the design. The colony went dark for 3 weeks before they finally found a solution. A hospital ran out of medicine for a rare disease. The human traders who had brought that medicine from a distant planet were gone. They tried to find other suppliers, but no one else knew where the medicine came from. 12 patients died before they found a new source. A communication relay between two important systems stopped working. The human technicians who had maintained it for 40 years were gone. The new technicians did not know the old codes. For 2 months, an entire sector of space could not talk to the rest of the galaxy. Small problems, easy to ignore, easy to blame on bad luck or poor planning. But the small problems grew. Elder Roca sat in his private office, reading reports that made his 4 hands shake with anger. Trade was down by 20% across Council space. Food shipments were delayed. Medical supplies were running low on dozens of planets. 3 space stations had reported critical failures that they could not repair. "How is this possible?" Roca demanded. He threw the reports onto his desk. "We have thousands of engineers, thousands of traders. How can we not replace a few humans?" His advisor, a young named, stood quietly by the door. He was afraid to speak, but he knew he must. "Elder," he said carefully, "it is not about numbers, it is about knowledge." "What do you mean?" Stepped forward and placed another report on the desk. "The humans did not just work for us. They connected us. They knew which planets had which resources. They knew which species could work together and which could not. They knew the old trade routes and the new ones. They remembered things that our computers forgot." Roca stared at the report. It showed a map of the galaxy with all the trade routes marked in different colors. 2 years ago, the map had been full of bright lines connecting everything. Now, many of those lines were faded or missing. "They were the memory of the galaxy," said quietly, "and we let them walk away." Roca was silent for a long moment. Then he slammed his fist on the desk. "Send a message to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them we are willing to discuss their request for aid. Tell them we may have been too hasty in our judgment." Nodded and left the room. But the message came back unanswered. Roka sent another message, and another. Each one was more friendly than the last. Each one offered a little more. First, he offered to reconsider the request. Then he offered partial support. Then he offered full military aid. Earth did not respond to any of them. "They are ignoring us," Roka said to the council in an emergency meeting. "The humans are refusing to communicate." Lyra, the representative who had mocked the humans a year ago, spoke up. "Perhaps they are dead. Perhaps they have already destroyed them." "No," another council member said. He was a small being with green skin and large eyes from a species called the Myra. "Our scouts have seen human ships. They are alive. They are fighting and they are winning." The council fell silent. "Winning?" Roka repeated. "How? They asked us for help because they could not fight alone." The Myra representative pulled up a holographic display. It showed human warships engaging forces near the edge of Earth's territory. The human ships moved with speed and precision that the Council had never seen before. "They have new weapons," the Myra said. "New ships, new allies." "Allies?" Lyra asked. "Who would ally with them?" "The Outer Rim species. The independent worlds. The ones we never bothered to include in our council. The humans have been building relationships with them for decades. Now those relationships are paying off." Roka watched the battle on the display. The human ships were smaller than the ships, but they fought together like one creature with many bodies. They covered each other. They supported each other. They never left a wounded ship behind. And they were winning. "This is impossible," Roka said. "A year ago they were begging for our help." "They were not begging," a quiet voice said. Everyone turned to look at the speaker. She was an old female who had served on the council for over 100 years. Her name was, and she rarely spoke in meetings. "They were asking," continued. "There is a difference. A beggar has nothing to offer. The humans offered us everything. Their loyalty, their service, their friendship. We refused all of it. We laughed at them. We told them they were not worth saving." She stood up slowly, her old bones creaking. "And now they have learned that they do not need us. They have found others who value what they offer, others who treat them with respect." She looked at Roka with eyes that held no mercy. "We made a mistake, Elder. The worst mistake in the history of our people. We thought the humans were weak because they did not shout. We thought they were unimportant because they did not brag. But silence is not weakness. Humility is not worthlessness." She walked toward the door of the council chamber. "Where are you going?" Roka demanded. Stopped but did not turn around. "I am going to write a personal letter to the human ambassador," she said. "Not as a council member, not just as one old person to another. I will tell him that I am sorry. I will tell him that not all of us agreed with what was done." "That is against protocol," Roka said. "Protocol," said with a bitter laugh. "Protocol is what brought us here. Protocol is what made us believe we were better than everyone else. Protocol is what killed our future." She walked out of the chamber, and the doors closed behind her. The council sat in uncomfortable silence. Outside the station, in the cold darkness of space, the fleet continued its advance. They had finished with the human colonies on the outer edge. Now they were turning toward council space. They had seen how weak the great powers had become. They had seen the chaos and the failures. They smelled blood. And the humans who might have helped stop them were far away, fighting their own battles, building their own alliances, making their own future. The council had refused to stand with humanity. Now humanity would not stand with them. The cost of that silence was about to come due. 2 years had passed since the humans walked away from the council. Elder Roca stood at the window of his office on Prime, watching the sky with fear in his eyes. Somewhere up there, beyond the clouds, beyond the atmosphere, the fleet was coming. His scouts had sent their final messages 3 days ago. Then silence, always silence now. The great empire, which had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, was falling apart. Roca remembered how proud he had been, how certain, how absolutely sure that his people were the greatest in the universe. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had built the most powerful fleet ever seen. They had created the Galactic Council and made themselves its eternal leaders. And now it was all crumbling like sand. They had taken the outer colonies first, then the mining stations, then the trade routes. One by one, the lights on the map went dark. One by one, the messages stopped coming. They sent their warships to fight, but they were stronger. They sent their diplomats to negotiate, but they did not want to talk. They wanted only one thing, everything. A knock came at the door. "Enter," Roca said without turning around. His advisor stepped inside. He looked older now. The stress of the past 2 years had turned his blue skin pale and put deep lines on his face. Elder said, "I have the latest reports." "I do not want to hear them." "Elder, you must." Roca turned around slowly. He looked at with empty eyes. "Very well, tell me how bad it is today." Took a deep breath. "The Republic has fallen. They're surrendered this morning. Lyra is dead. She refused to leave her office when they came." Roca closed his eyes. Lyra. She had laughed at the humans that day in the council hall. She had said they would learn humility. Now she was dead and her people were slaves. "What else?" Roca asked. "The Myra have fled to the outer rim. They are begging the independent worlds for shelter. Some are accepting them. Most are not." "And us, what about the?" Hesitated. "Our fleet has been reduced to 30% of its original strength. We have lost contact with all colonies outside our core systems. They will reach Prime within 6 weeks. Roca laughed. It was an ugly, broken sound. 6 weeks, he said. 1,000 years of empire and we have 6 weeks left. He walked to his desk and sat down heavily. On the desk was a small device that could send messages across the galaxy. He had used it many times in the past 2 years to contact Earth. He had begged. He had offered money. He had offered power. He had offered everything he had. Earth had never responded. Roca said quietly, "Do you know what the humans are doing now?" Nodded. "Our spies have reported that they have pushed the completely out of their territory. They have formed a new alliance with the Outer Rim species. They call it the Coalition of Free Worlds. It is growing every day." "Growing," Roca repeated, "while we are dying." He picked up the communication device and stared at it. "I have sent 412 messages to Ambassador," he said. "I have apologized. I have offered everything. He has not responded to a single one." "Perhaps he is dead," suggested. "No, he is alive. I know he is alive. He is reading my messages. He is choosing not to respond." Roca set the device down. "Do you know what the worst part is? I understand. If I were him, I would do the same thing. We laughed at them. We called them children. We told them they were not worth saving. And now they are watching us burn and they are silent." He stood up and walked back to the window. "Silence," he said. "That is what we gave them. That is what they are giving us. Perfect, terrible silence." Across the galaxy, on Earth, Ambassador sat in his garden watching the sun set. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the air smelled of flowers. It was peaceful here, safe, beautiful. Commander walked up the path and sat down beside him. "The latest intelligence report," she said, handing him a small tablet. Did not take it. "Tell me," he said. "The Empire will fall within 2 months. They are already gone. The other Council species are scattered and broken. They will control all of former Council space by the end of the year." Nodded slowly. He did not smile, he did not look satisfied, he simply looked tired. And our coalition, he asked. Strong, growing. We have signed defense agreements with 47 independent worlds. Our combined fleet is now larger than the fleet. They will not attack us. Good. Was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that had been burning in her heart for months. Ambassador, do you ever think about helping them? The council, I mean. We could save them. Our coalition is strong enough now. Finally looked at her. His eyes were calm but sad. I think about it every day, he said. I think about all the innocent people who are dying, the children, the farmers, the workers who had nothing to do with the council's decision. They are suffering because their leaders were proud and foolish. Then why do we not help them? Was silent for a long moment. Because we cannot save people who do not want to be saved, he said finally. The council has sent me many messages. Roka has apologized many times, but do you know what he has never done? He has never asked his people to join our coalition. He has never offered to treat us as equals. Even now, even as his empire burns, he still believes he is better than us. He wants us to save him so that he can go back to being our master. He shook his head. We are not heroes. We are not gods. We cannot save everyone. All we can do is protect the people who stand with us as friends. The others must learn to stand on their own or fall on their own. Looked at the sunset. It was so beautiful, so peaceful, so different from the horror happening across the galaxy. It feels wrong, she said quietly, to sit here in peace while millions are dying. I know, said, but we offered them peace once. We offered them friendship. We offered them our hands. They slapped those hands away and laughed. Now they must live with the consequences of their choice. He stood up slowly, his old joints aching. Come, we have work to do. The coalition needs us. There are worlds that want to join. There are people who want to be our allies. We should focus on them, not on the ones who chose to be our enemies. They walked back toward the house together. Behind them the sun finished setting and the stars came out one by one. Each star was a sun. Each sun might have planets. Each planet might have people looking up at the sky, hoping someone would come to save them. But salvation did not come to those who did not deserve it. The council was learning that lesson now. The hard way. The fleet filled the sky above Prime like a swarm of black insects. Thousands of ships hung in orbit, their weapons pointed at the planet below. The Great, which had never been invaded in all its long history, was surrounded. Elder Roka stood in the emergency bunker beneath the capital city. Around him, the last members of the government huddled in fear. Their beautiful robes were dirty. Their proud faces were broken. They were no longer the masters of the galaxy. They were just frightened people waiting to die. Send one more message, Roka said too, one last message to Earth. Looked at him with exhausted eyes. Elder, they will not answer. They have never answered. I know, but I must try. I owe them that much. He took the communication device and began to speak. His voice was not proud anymore. It was not cold or superior. It was just the voice of an old man who had made terrible mistakes and finally understood them. Ambassador, he said, this is Elder Roka of the people. I know you will not help us. I know we do not deserve your help. I am not sending this message to ask for rescue. I am sending it to say what I should have said 3 years ago when you stood in our council hall and asked for our friendship. He paused. The bunker was silent except for the distant sound of explosions above. I am sorry, Roka continued. Not because we are dying now, I am sorry because we were wrong. You came to us in good faith. You offered us partnership. You asked only for the help that any ally should give to another, and we laughed at you. We called you primitive. We said you were not worth saving. His voice cracked. We were fools, blind, arrogant fools. You were never primitive. You were never weak. You were the best of us. You gave without asking. You worked without complaining. You connected our worlds and held our civilization together, and we never even noticed. We were too busy looking down at you to see what you were truly doing." Tears ran down his pale blue face. "I do not ask for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. I only wanted you to know before the end that I finally understand. I finally see you for what you really are, and I am sorry that it took losing everything to open my eyes." He ended the message and handed the device back to. "Send it," he said. On Earth, Ambassador received the message in his office. He played it once, then he played it again. Then he sat in silence for a long time, staring at the device in his hand. Commander found him there an hour later. "Ambassador," she said, "is something wrong?" Handed her the device. "Listen." Played the message. When it finished, she looked at with wide eyes. "He finally apologized," she said. "Really apologized." "Yes." "What are you going to do?" Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the coalition fleet was gathering. Hundreds of ships from dozens of worlds, all united under the banner of friendship and mutual respect. It was everything the Galactic Council had never been. "The coalition has voted," said. "They have agreed to launch an attack on the fleet at Prime." Blinked. "What? When did this happen?" "This morning. I proposed it 3 days ago. The vote was unanimous." But why, after everything they did to us?" Turned to face her. His eyes were sad but determined. "Because we are not like them," he said. "We do not leave people to die just because they hurt us. We do not let innocent children burn because their leaders were foolish. We are better than that. We have always been better than that." He walked past her toward the door. "Prepare the fleet. We leave in 6 hours." The Battle of Prime would be remembered for 1,000 years. The coalition fleet arrived just as they were beginning their final assault. Human ships led the charge, followed by vessels from 40 different species. They hit them from behind with a force that shook the stars. Commander flew at the front of the formation. Her ship, the Soul, cut through fighters like a knife through paper. Around her, coalition pilots fought with the desperation of people who believed in something greater than themselves. They were not prepared. They had expected easy prey. They had expected a broken planet with no defenders. Instead, they found a united galaxy standing against them. The battle lasted for 3 days. Ships were destroyed on both sides. Lives were lost. Heroes were made. In the end, the fleet was broken. The survivors fled into the darkness of space, never to threaten the galaxy again. When it was over, a human shuttle landed on Prime. Ambassador stepped out onto the damaged streets of the capital city. Elder Roca was waiting for him. The 2 old men looked at each other across a short distance that felt like a universe. "You came," Roca said. His voice was barely a whisper. "Yes," said. "Why, after everything we did, after everything we said, why did you save us?" Walked forward until he stood directly in front of Roca. He looked into the alien's eyes and saw something he had never seen there before: humility. "Because that is what humans do," said. "We do not abandon people in their darkest hour, not even people who abandoned us." Roca fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his face. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you. I do not deserve this. We do not deserve this." Knelt down beside him. He put his hand on Roca's shoulder. "No," he said gently. "You do not deserve it, but that is what makes it a gift. That is what makes it meaningful. We are not saving you because you earned it. We are saving you because it is the right thing to do." He helped Roca to his feet. "The old council is dead," said, "but something new can be built, something better, a true partnership of equals. No more masters and servants, no more superior and inferior, just allies, just friends." Roca nodded slowly. "Yes, yes, I would like that." "Then come, we have much work to do." They walked together through the ruined streets, human and side by side. Around them, coalition soldiers were helping survivors. Human doctors were treating wounded aliens. Engineers were already beginning to repair the damage. Above them, the stars shone bright and cold in the black sky. The galaxy had changed. The old ways were gone forever. In their place, something new was growing, something built on respect instead of fear, something built on friendship instead of power. The humans had walked away in silence 3 years ago. Now they had returned, not as conquerors, not as avengers, but as neighbors reaching out a helping hand. The council had paid a terrible cost for its arrogance, but in the end, they had learned the most important lesson of all. True strength was not measured in ships or weapons or the size of your empire. True strength was measured in the ability to help those who had hurt you. True strength was measured in forgiveness. And in that, the humans were the strongest species the galaxy had ever known. The silence was over. A new age had begun.